only had about 3.5 hours today, so I got the safety chain mounts all finished and welded in. And I also, since I had all this stuff clamped up, at least on the driver's side, I went ahead and tacked that in place and got the light mounts on each side, and all the headache rack tubes welded, or actually just tacked in place right now. Make sure I like everything. So the next thing I want to do, and I'll probably do first thing in the morning, is I didn't put this back panel on yet. This just kind of blanks this off. What I want to do is drill a hole somewhere in here so I can feed all the wires through, and I also want to put maybe somewhere down in here a hole on each side that I can run a self-tapper in, that I can detach all the grounds from all three of these to here. And then I'll probably put something down here near the filler neck. There's a ground that goes below the back of the cab, so probably go ahead and ground the flatbed to that ground also, and then I'll have a good ground for all my lights. But that's what it looks like on the back side. Plug welded. Right now I just got a couple little tacks in there, and I made sure that we were 2 inches all the way around, because that's what this is. So for half a day I'm happy with that, and we'll come back tomorrow and hit it some more. Of course, there's always little things you think of, and I had ordered it, but I had not thought about it yet. So I had ordered a connector for the plug for the lights for the trailer, which I don't have a trailer and don't know when I'm going to get a trailer, but I made a mount for it. So hopefully this is not too hot. So this will sit in here like that. Be a nice place so when you get out of the cab you can just come around and there's your lights. Should be out of the way, as long as I don't have to put anything up against it. Maybe we'll have to put a guard on it someday, but that's good enough for now. And then what I'll probably do, the next thing I want to do is, of course, drill the holes for the lights and stuff, is I might chop this connector off and just put a hole in here to run the wires through, run them down, and then tie them into, you know, all the lights and stuff for here. And then I haven't figured out how I'm going to run my brake controller yet, but we'll get to that. I only bought these little floodlights on Amazon, just little LED lights, because I wanted something that can show towards the back of the bed. So just flip a switch in the cab, you can see what's going on in the back. So I made these little brackets, tacked together right now, that'll fit up into the upper corner. So this is looking from the cab side, of course. So here's where I have tapped in place. And I think that'll work. So I wanted something to kind of protect them. So since I've got the 4-inch tube and a 2-inch tube recessed, I just put a little 45 in there, and we can swivel them and we can tip them out and down. So let's put the other one on. Well, I think those will work just fine. Got the driver's side one on, passenger side one on, and they're just sticking in there. They don't have any bolted down or anything like that. You can see the wires coming through. And the main reason I did that is I just want to know where to poke a hole through. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to put the expanded metal over here, or just cut it and wrap it around here, just so that I can easily get in there and work on things, reposition the light and things like that. But anyway, that's where we're at. We'll punch the holes in and see what else I've got to do before I start putting all the metal on the back. Well, my leftover diamond plate was too short, top to bottom, so I just got another piece. I think it's 24 something wide by 78 1/4 or whatever the bed width is. So I just had that sheared. It's just a piece of 1/8 inch. So what I did was, because this thing's heavy, I put my lift table on the bottom, just touching the bottom of the frame, and I centered it, went around and clamped it, and I went through and marked out here the outside edge of the bed on both sides, and went around each of these little pockets, because what I'm planning on doing is going ahead and plug welding this. And I might do, some stitch welding on top, but main thing will be plug welding, even plug welding here, and I got 4 inches down there, so I can do a bunch of plug welds down there, but yeah. But that thing's heavy, so we'll use the table and maneuver it back out of here and start chopping the ends off so that it'll fit right, and then we can start drilling a whole bunch of holes. Probably go every 3 or 4 inches, whatever looks nice. Nobody will ever see it, but I will. Well, that's a whole lot of holes. So this is along the bottom. Just did a bunch of 1/2 inch holes. I was going to put more in, but I know these are probably overkill. And I went up here with 3/8 across the top and the sides with 3/8. So that's all done and deburred and ready to go on. So now I need to finalize my headache rack, do the finish welding on it, and put this up there and plug it away. Well, it's about as many clamps as I have, but I have it all centered up on there. You can see I got the cutout at the bottom, so I can make my little cap to go in there. And I'll search around and see if I can find some more caps, but all the holes look good. All the grinding on the tubes here is done. I decided not to weld them here because I might weld these up in top and bottom, but I didn't weld those because there's going to be a ton of plug welds in them. But we're happy with that. So now I think it's time to commence to welding. So now I have it equal side to side. So I think I'm just going to start on one side, kind of work my way across, and if I need to, I can grind a little bit off on there. But right now, that side and this side stick out equal amounts, and the same thing at the bottom. So let's give it a go. That's what it looks like from behind. So I am very happy with that. So now I'll finish just putting in some good welds, small welds for the plates that hold in the taillights, and I'll finish up those plug welds, and then we'll get to putting it in some expanded metal here in the middle of the back. I think I ought to be able to see through that. So just put the expanded metal about 1 inch on this side, about 1 inch on that side, 1.5 there, about 1 inch there. The nice thing is with these mounts, I can also tack them along those edges. So I think we'll just move forward with that. Another job checked off the list. So we just got it welded all the way around. And I even did it little spots around where the light goes. But sounds like a solid bar. So yeah, that's done. I'll probably wait to put these pieces on yet. I haven't decided. I think I'll probably mock up the lights first. But yeah, I need a new project. This is boring. So the headache rack is basically done. So now let's move to the back and start working on the bumper. We'll do that tomorrow. So I wanted to make one more, probably not the last one, but I'll find some more, I'm sure. But a little ease of use. So for the spare tire carrier, which of course is going to be under the bed, needed some way to get the rod in there to actually go up and down. So I found some tubing I had laying around that the ID was bigger than the shaft itself. So I made up these little mounts, and I just put a 3/4 inch hole for a plug weld. So we'll plug weld those in place, and then I'll cut this tube off, and we will have a way to get the spare tire up and down. Well, I got the tack tube and plates all tacked in place, so it's all mounted up. Just put a couple tacks around the tube. It's not a structural item, we just need to hold it in place, and plug welded both of them. So everything lines up good. It works perfectly. So now I finally get to go to the fun thing. Let's make a bumper. Well, that's my concept for now. So I'll have two tubes that line up with the main frame tubes, and then I spaced these in about 1.25 inches on each side, and that way I can get my caps in, and it gives us a little bit more clearance here. So I better like it because I've already cut the bottom tube to that width. So the frame is level, the bumper is level, and it will sit 1 inch above the hitch. So I'm going to quadruple check all my measurements, and then tack the outside two tubes and the bottom tube in place, and then go to lunch. It's after lunch, and we got the rear bumper and bumper brackets all put in place. So now what I want to do is work on the piece that goes in here. So I think we got to do like the license plate and the trailer hitch connector for the lights and safety chains. So we will work on laying something out that for now. I think I might have some diamond plate, which I can turn around and keep it smooth like that. But we'll figure something out. Well, there you have it. So I got my hole for my jack, I guess you would call it, tube is in a good place. I put my hole in for the trailer lights. Then I put some holes in to do butt welding, or plug welding, and then I'm going to of course weld it across the top and down the sides and all the way around, but I think that would add some strength. So yeah, I'm happy with that. We'll check everything out and make sure it works, and then we'll tack that in place. Now I was going to do some cool stuff and recess the license plate, but because this is so short, there's just not a lot of room there to make it look good, so I'll just have to offset it and bolt it right straight to that plate. But otherwise, good to go. And we don't want these big ugly sharp edges causing damage and rain intrusion. So I made these little caps at 1/8 inch, so they're just smaller than the tube, so I can weld around them and grind them down and call them good. The tubes are sticking up about 1/8 inch, so that'll allow the bed to come right up to the edge. And I also made ones to cap each end of the tube down here. So yeah, let's put those on. We got those all tacked on. So we did the end of the bumper, we did the tops of the bumper supports. So there's 4 on top. Hope we don't make you dizzy. Another one that's too hard to see, but we also got that one in. Now I think we'll call it the last thing. I'm going to put in the same concept I have up there for lights, with a 20-degree angle, facing matching that bar up there down here. So I'm going to go ahead and make me some plates Then I want to make something on the back side. Might be removable, just to protect the back of the lights and the electrical connectors and the wires from the tire. So we'll do that next. Well, yeah, that'll work. So they're at the same angle at 20 degrees as the upper ones. And yeah, they look like they're down, but I've got, you know, the top here is like 3.5 inches, just like on this side. So that way the lights will fit in around the tube real well. So let's make another one. So we have the bumper light plates in place. Just double checking, make sure they match. Driver side matches. Passenger side matches. So we will go ahead and start putting some decent welds on this, hopefully, and figure out what to do next. Well, I got the bumper and the bumper brackets all welded, and the caps welded on the top. I still got the to finish welded ones on the ends. So we got those all the way done. Got a couple booger welds, but that's what grinding's for. And then I have yet to put the plate on because I didn't make a little bit of clearance in here for the welds, so I'll just grind that plate to clear all the welds. But besides that, we're very happy. So it's about 5 o'clock, so it's time to clean up and go home and hit it again tomorrow. So we spent the morning. We got the back panel all welded on, all the other welding done, and the welding on the back sides, and so of course you always think the welding's done, but there's always more. What I'm doing is Bubba's coming in this weekend to work on the Astri, and this is a perfect time to move this out into more of an open area where I shouldn't hurt too many things with my grinding dust. And I want to grind the whole top of this so I can get prepared for, no, not putting the birdseat on, putting the plate on. So we'll be working on that this afternoon. Well, I have the top surfaces all nice and flat. Make sure no other welds were sticking up, and make sure there was no weld daubers on there. And then I threw the first piece up here, and I just butted it up against these on both surfaces and centered this. And then I went in and just started taking measurements and drawing things out. So that's the first D-ring. I also notched around the post and the final one over there. So it seems nice and centered. Got a little bit here to weld to. But what I'm going to do on these is I'm actually going to mark underneath where the tubes are, and then I'm going to plug weld these. Since this has got the diamond plate on it anyway, I'm just going to plug weld this down. So that's why I wanted to make sure there was nothing sticking up. So now I have to go underneath and start marking all these pockets on the underneath side so I can flip the plate over and transfer all that stuff, including the pocket that I will use for the fuel filler, well actually the fuel pump. So I'll just mark that out, and then I'll just take that plate, grind it down a little bit, and reuse it for the cover itself. Well, we're back at it again this morning. It's Monday, just after lunch. So I got part of it done Friday, and then Mr. Bubba came up on Saturday, so we had a cool work day, working on cars. And then today, after I got all my errands done, now I can focus on this. So I took me 2 Tarais, made them a little small, and then went ahead and checked them when they're here, and got them all fitted the way I want them. So what I want to be able to do is weld all the way around all these pockets, so we get this draw it down nice tight. So we get all these, get all those on the passenger side, and we have the door for the fuel pump for the truck. So now what I'm doing is, to me, everything hinges off from that hole for the gooseneck. So it sits up right about the thickness of the material, just a little less. So I'm going to do that one first, and then I'll measure all the holes and locations off from that relative to that once it's sitting on there. So we'll get started on that. Look at the next piece thrown up with the forklift, because I am too weak and too old to lift that big heavy piece of material. So I've got the front plate clamped on, got it exactly where I want it. I'll probably put some Clecos in there just to hold the location, but now I've got the center hole put in. Just plasma cut that and ground off the back. Gave myself about a 1/4 inch all the way around it, just to weld it in good and tight. I got the two plates butted up against each other tight. I'm going around now, so I found a couple spots in the back. My plate is just a little long, so I'm going to notch around the bumper mounts. I'm going to go up underneath with a flashlight and start marking all the other things that I want to cut out. So we'll spend the next half hour or so doing that. So we've got the rear plate all finished. Well, I should say 90% done. So I went through, clearance for everything, for all the stake pockets, for all the D-rings. I drilled a whole lot of 3/8 holes. So I went through probably 2 1/8-inch drills, and then I bought some cheap step drills. And I'm sure I killed the one. I killed one on the headache plate, so this one's definitely blue when it's supposed to be gold. But got all the holes done for this plate, and I also made sure that I put in the 2 clearance pockets for the safety chains. So now I get to do all the holes in the front one. I just have to find out where to put this big booger. We'll probably put it back up on the mobile table there. Well, there you have it. So all the holes that I can think of are now in both pieces of metal. And I cleaned off underneath between the bed and the plates to make sure they sit down flat. So now we'll clean out the areas and move this back over there, the welding area, and figure out how to clamp this down, if I sit on top of it or what it is, in order to hold it down against the steel. And what I was thinking about doing, starting in the front, in the middle, and just welding it from the middle out, so as things move around, it moves outside. We'll see how that works. But anyway, I'm happy with that. Killed off some more drill bits, but I think their sacrifice was well placed. Well, my battery's getting short, but we are another half day in, and I have all the welding done, I hope. So I've got all the plug welds done, got all the welds around here, so we're very happy with that. Still got to make my panel yet for that, but that can be done later. So I don't know if I want to grind yet or start running wiring. I think I feel like grinding. Or, excuse me, I think I feel like running wiring, so I think that's what we'll do next.